Hello everyone. This was supposed to be the last part of our review of the 50 pieces sketching and drawing set. However, halfway to this video, I switched to my Mungyo soft pastels just because I had a problem with the pencils, and that was a little spoiler. But if you stay with me, you will see why I switched to another medium. So these are the soft pastel sticks that we have. They are a bit cracked, but it's fine. It's still usable. And also, of course, the soft pastel pencils in gray, red, brown, sepia, and black. And I'm just getting a few more tools and materials that we might use for this drawing. And as usual, I'm using multiple references with different brightness and contrast. This will help me see the details better. There are details that you can see when you have a very tight contrast, and there are also details that will be washed out if your reference is too bright. So I have these 3 photos so I can see all of them. So this is a bit challenging for me because I haven't done this in years, that I'm using a different size for my reference photo and my drawing paper. So my reference is size A4 and my drawing paper is a size A3. So here I'm taking a watercolor paper strip. I actually got these paper strips as a freebie when I bought my White Nights watercolor, and the owner of the shop gave me a lot of these, and at first I didn't know what to do with it, but then I discovered that it's very good for dusting off the excess charcoal powders on my brushes because it's textured watercolor paper. So here I'm just using the lightest pencil that I have, which is the 5H pencil. And this pencil also came with the 50 pieces sketching and drawing set. And after outlining, of course, my Faber-Castell needed eraser to lighten the outline. And since we still have the charcoal powder that we made from the last video, we're using that to build up the first shading or the mid-tones for this drawing. Before we continue, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and hit the notification bell so you will be notified every time I upload new videos. At this point, I actually remembered that I was supposed to use the pastel pencils and pastel sticks, but I'm using the charcoal powder. So, but I did my research about the difference between the charcoal pencils and the soft pastels, and I found out that charcoal pencils are, of course, made of charcoal, which is wood that is burnt. Pastels, on the other hand, is made with pigments and different powdered materials that is compressed into a stick or into a pencil. So I got here my pastel pencils and I'm sharpening it with a regular sharpener just so I can get off most of the wood before I continue with the artist knife to actually sharpen it, because like charcoal sticks and charcoal pencils, soft pastels easily break, and so we have to be extra careful when sharpening them. I actually broke one of these colors. I think it's the gray one. And here are the swatches. Upon swatching these pastel pencils, it was very obvious to me that it's really hard. I mean, it's like the hard charcoal pencil. You can hear it. It actually damages the paper when I draw with it. I was really skeptic about this. I actually had to put so much pressure on the pencil just so I can draw with it. As you can see, I'm firmly gripping the pencil, and but when I blend it out with a brush, it's not even working. You can see that I can barely smudge the pigment or the color of these pastel pencils. So I almost want to stop doing it, but then I just thought I'd just go with it because I really wanted to draw this photo. This first reference photo, by the way, is a photo by Gideon's Photography. They did our prenuptial shoot for our wedding, and this is one of my favorite shots, and I wanted to draw it with charcoal and pastels. But as you can see, it's really not working for me. I mean, I'm using the brown color for this one, and I actually made a powder out of it, and I am trying to use it for my face here, but it's not working. I even tried directly putting the powder on the paper, but still didn't work. I still can't get the powder to stick on the paper. So I decided to just draw it in black and white using my charcoal pencils and charcoal powder, and just incorporate a hint of color. My reference photo is not really colorful anyway, so I thought it should be fine. At this point, I started to get frustrated because I can't seem to work with this material, and also I'm breaking the paper already. But then I remembered a few weeks ago I went to my mom's house to get some of the art materials that I left there. And with those art materials and sets, I remember that I have this Gallery Mungyo Artist Soft Pastels. I have two sets of these in 12s. So the first set is a set of charcoal or soft charcoal sticks, and the other set is 12 pieces of Earthtones soft pastels. And I actually have this for years now, but I haven't really used them. I've used them maybe the earth tones maybe twice, and the black ones I use for portraits. I was so happy when I remembered I still have these. I mean, look at the vibrant colors. They're very saturated, and they match my reference photo perfectly. And also, when I use it directly on the paper, it doesn't damage the paper. It glides smoothly, and it's very pigmented. So here I'm just smudging each color. I can't use a brush for this because most of my brushes for charcoal painting are covered in black charcoal, so I just use my hands and wipe it off with a wet towel. And I also compared it to the first soft pastels that we use, and you can see distinctively the difference between the two. I'm not even applying much pressure on this, and you can see how easy it is to blend. So each soft pastel stick has a name and a number code, and I turn them into powder first so that I can work with them easily and control the pigments because these are very pigmented. This soft pastel is very easy to work with, that just with soft dabs of my paint brushes on the paper, I can get the pigment on there. Unlike the first one that we used, where I really had to work the brushes on the paper, that actually damaged already the paper, just so I can get the color in there. That is why at the end of this drawing, you will notice also that the left side of the drawing is a bit worked out or too worked out because of the first medium that we used. But for the rest of the drawing, it's very nice and I really enjoyed working with it. Although soft pastels are very messy, this is very easy to work with. It's very easy also to lift the soft pastels with kneaded erasers. And because of its texture, because of how loose it is also easier to move the pigments around and get the shape and effects that you want. When I'm working with dry media, I always start very light and build up the dark colors little by little. This way I work cleaner and make less mistakes. You would also notice that I started using stencils. This is basically pieces of paper that I cut into shape so that I can block out some of the charcoal powders and make better shapes and make better edges, crisp edges on my drawing. I can't remember where I learned this from, but I've been doing it lately and it really helps. So since when I'm working with dry media, I always move around the paper too much instead of working by area. That is why most of the time my outline is smudged and erased, and so I have to draw it again like what I'm doing here, because I needed a very detailed outline. I had to draw the outline again and work with it. And for the darkest areas, especially the large dark areas, I usually draw or color the area with a soft pastel directly, and then blend it with my tools and my hands so that I can get the darkest dark that I can have on this drawing. And for the largest areas, you would notice that I'm using my hand to blend the soft pastels, because I think for larger areas, the hands are the better tools for it, because it creates better gradients and details, especially with the curtains that I'm drawing right now. It makes really good streaks of darks and lights. Just a disclaimer, this is not a standard, or it's actually not advisable to use the hands, because we have oils or natural body oils on our hands, especially if you have sweaty hands. But the stubbornness in me disagree, so I want to use my hands. So here, if you haven't noticed, the cheek part, it's very hard to do the gradient or the smooth gradient, because the paper is already damaged, like I mentioned earlier, and there are patches of dark areas that I can't fix anymore. After drawing, of course, since this is a powder media or a dry media, I had to use a fixative for it so that I can store it properly and easily. And this is one of the brands, actually the only brand that I have used since I was a student, and until now it works for me. Overall, I really liked and enjoyed the Mungyo Gallery Soft Artist Pastel. I'm not sure about the price. I don't know the price anymore. I just bought this from National Bookstore years ago. But for the first ones that we used, the 50 pieces sketching and drawing set, pastel pencils and soft pastel sticks, I still want to give it a try. Maybe I'm not using the right paper for it or the right reference for it, but I want to try it again. And that's all for this video. Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up and visit me on my social media, my Instagram and Facebook page for more art content. And if you want to watch more content like this, please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you will be notified every time I upload new artworks and reviews.